If we know that this happened, and
But
we built America this
that's
way,
impossible, Tegan, because no matter what, there's always gonna be like I just don't think that life was ever meant to be fair.
of course not.
I don't think that we ever to try to equalize it is an exercise in futility, in my opinion.
Okay, well, let
Well,
me ask you this, if you don't mind. This is the same thing that I used to struggle with doing dope work. Is it's a gigantic wheel spin fighting dope because you're not going to eradicate it.
Correct.
But if you stop fighting it, it can definitely get worse. And
Correct.
out of principle, I think we owe it to ourselves, no matter who's in power, if the greens are in power or the purples are in power, we should always be striving to come up with equal results ultimately. I think it's our duty to
I think
at least
the problem though,
strive to do
T,
that.
is that we overcorrecting to the point to where we then create a cancel culture. Because I don't think it's wrong to feel however you want to feel about somebody, as long as you don't, as long as that does not translate into you actually doing something against them. So I'll give you an example, right? I could disagree with you about what side of the aisle you stand on politically. I could disagree with you about how it is that you operate sexually, as far as like you could be gay or whatever, right? But it doesn't mean that I remove your humanity. But I don't have to agree with it. But then if I say that I don't agree with it, there's not enough looking to have the conversation or understanding. There's just a massive overcorrection. Oh, I can't believe you said that, cancel.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the
seeing
problem.
We're definitely seeing that. I don't
Right?
disagree. I definitely think that in an effort to try to become politically correct, we've like gone all the way this
Right,
way.
that's my
I think
issue.
it'll settle. But the problem is, if you feel that way about, you feel that way about homosexuals or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel fervently about it, but you don't, and they're like, look, I don't care how you feel, whatever. We're not at war or whatever, and all of a sudden you're their boss. It's going to be really difficult for you to unbias yourself and treat them the same way, and that's where we have the problems.
I don't think so, though.
well, I don't know, Tron. I don't know.
I mean you. I don't mean you
No,
personally.
No,
you know.
we're using that as an example. Yeah.
Part of black people's frustration in America is they feel like white people won't acknowledge that they got a head start and we didn't. Some white people won't feel like if you just work hard. Some black people need to hear that acknowledgement more than they want reparations.
The flip side of that, though, see, is that, okay, after I acknowledge you, then what? Because what I found is that most of the people that sit there and complain and want acknowledgement don't go about doing things differently. They just move over into the next person that they want acknowledgement from.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily solving for a problem because they're not really looking for a solution. They just looking for somebody to make them feel better about themselves.
But we can't get a solution until we have the acknowledgement. Then the opportunity to solve it is there. And again, this isn't an absolute. You're right. We're never going to solve it. Eventually, someone else will be in power.
Because this could take us into the Kanye argument.
It does.
You see what I'm saying?
100% correct.
They won't acknowledge that we're old, and the old niggas say they don't owe us nothing. Then you got some say they owe us something. Then you have some that say, man, they won't even acknowledge the fact that they've done us wrong. And he's saying we can't even come up with a solution to at some point it's acknowledged. At this point, I'm gonna say, yeah, we'll never come up with no solutions until we acknowledge. It's kind of like the first step in AA, admitting that you have a problem.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good example.
It's like
And
the
again,
first step.
I totally see where you're coming from, Anton, because I'm not talking about political correctness here at all. I'm talking about really the essence of it, and that's part of the problem is that we're trying so hard to find where the issues are because they're so hidden anymore. And it's only becoming worse by canceling the culture.
See,
they're even trying to limit comedians.
That's
What
what
they
I'm
can say.
saying.
It's
And that's
like-
what I'm saying about the massive overcorrection, because comedians have largely been off limits
Yes.
because they are the ones that through comedy they should be able to tell you the uncomfortable truth.
That's the mental respite for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
This what I've had to do. I didn't come off my high. I wasn't on a high horse, meaning I wasn't where I wanted to be in life when I started working in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just ended up back there. He made a conscious choice to go undercover, and he had to walk down from where he was,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty high position as a police officer, and go. Man, he went into the gutter, the lowest part of our society, and he went and lived with them people, ate with them people, partied with them people, and he was able to assess them from a point that you and we ain't there, Twan.
I don't know.
I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you through that when you come in a few weeks.
No, I'm coming through.
So it's kind of like the scientists, homie, who go into the jungle and study the gorillas.
Yeah.
And he become an expert of gorillas.
Yeah.
And he come out and he tell us about gorillas.
Yeah, that's true. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
It's all perspective. I just think it's important to be
This is a phenomenal conversation.
Well, that's why I love you guys, though, because we're in the middle. We don't disagree. We don't agree on everything at all.
Yeah.
But even
I don't agree with 30% of what my mother say, but I love her.
Yeah,
Right.
I just came back
Right.
around and started agreeing with mine.
But
yeah.
you'd sit back down and have the conversation again. And that's the thing. I'm not going to have another conversation about this in order to convince you further. That's not my goal.
No, I agree with the overwhelming majority of what you say and what your premise is. I think that there's some things that we not mining out just from the perspective of, because we looking at it from an ideal perspective, right? We looking at it from, okay, well, if this is acknowledged, then this will be the solution. I think that there's always a margin of error. And the problem with the margin of error is that the people that are the loudest, they are a small minority, but they usually the loudest, right? So if it's
No
like
question.
the people that's advocating for cancel culture, right? It's not the overwhelming majority.
That's a small group of people.
It's a small group, but they seem like they got the loudest voices in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the segment of the population, regardless of what it is that we're trying to solve for, that we always gonna have the biggest problems, but we never are able to truly account for those people because they still gonna be the loudest in the room.
Well, that's why we're here defunding the police.
Exactly.
Rather than other solutions
Correct.
and options.
That's
yeah.
exactly what I'm talking
But
about.
that's also what we're doing in this room. That's why I have my cast. That's why you have your cast. That's why you have your cast. Because we are in the middle on opposite sides of the line, but not so far that we're not interested to hear what your perspective is. Because I know you have a completely different experience. I think most of us in existence are in the middle. And I think part of it is to create that voice and let people know, hey, man, these guys are having a conversation that's totally interested in learning more about it. Even if I disagree, those are the people we're trying to collect along the way. Like, we got to give the middle a voice out of sheer interest and fatigue from all the extremism that's going on. I think it's interesting enough. Well, it's not newsworthy.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to come and do a news show about,
No.
and these three cats got together. Yeah, we
we just won't go to the Breakfast Club. No.
Yeah, they don't wanna have this
The
kind of
shade room
conversations.
ain't gonna post this.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
But I think what you're doing here, just having us here, Anton, is super admirable, and I'm honored to be here.